The WAFB Podcast Network is sponsored by Neighbors Federal Credit Union.
Welcome back to Game Time, everybody. I'm your host, John Eads. Pleased to be with you. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to join us. Hey, if you weren't subscribed already, we would appreciate it, and I suggest that you subscribe to our WAFB YouTube channel and our WAFB Podcast Network. We got this show, Jacques Talk, the Clay Young Show, the Latangela Show. Lots of great content for you to check out here, and today we are talking about LSU baseball. Now, I know outside it may not seem like it, right? There's snow on the ground, there's ice, everybody's canceling school. A lot of people have had the week off from work for the most part or working from home. But on February 14th, that's 3 weeks from the day we're recording this here, LSU baseball opens the season against Purdue Fort Wayne. And I know for the first month of the year it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy. Not necessarily that, second week of April it's 70 and sunny, overcast day over at the box. But believe it or not, baseball is coming back. We've actually got Media Day tomorrow, Friday. As we're recording this, we'll meet with Jay Johnson for a long time because he always gives us some very in-depth, detailed answers about his team. And then a couple of the players as well. Not sure who, but probably some of the guys that will be key contributors to the team this year and were on the team as well last year. Before that, bringing you LSU baseball's impact freshmen that I think you need to know about. So in our last episode, we did the impact transfers. I gave you 4 of the big names to know because every year now all these college teams are bringing in like 10, 15 guys out of the portal. There were 4 that I think you really need to know, and then a couple others that I think will be factors as well. Might end up being the biggest factors that I just couldn't fit in because for time constraints, we don't have all day up here. Gave you those 4, so if you missed that, check it out. It's on our YouTube page. It's on the playlist, Game Time with John Eads. You'll find it there. Today, I'm giving you 4 more names. These guys are all freshmen that I think will be key contributors in their rookie seasons with LSU. So, the Tigers, for the second time in the last 3 years, the number 1 freshman impact class by D1 baseball. So this isn't necessarily a ranking of, you brought in the best recruits from across the country. Great. This is a ranking, again, by D1 baseball where they predict which freshman classes will have the biggest impact on the team in 2025 for the season. So for the second time in the last 3 years, LSU has that. Of course, last year the Tigers had Ashton Larson, Jake Brown, Stephen Milam, just a couple of the freshmen that saw some big time. Kate Anderson saw some big time for the Tigers in 2024. And of course, he had several names there in 2023. So who are the guys at the front of that impact class, some of the best freshmen in college baseball that you'll see in purple and gold, probably in a starting lineup at some point this year, if not many times? We got to start with the local kid. William Schmidt from Catholic High School led the Bears to a state and national championship last spring with the state championship victory. I believe it was against John Curtis in the state title game there over in Sulphur. Great time. Was at that game. Great fans. Schmidt was phenomenal, as he was every time I saw him and every time many of you watched him on TV, watched him in person here in Baton Rouge. This is a guy that should probably be in the major league system right now. He was projected the number 16 pick, prospect, whatever it is, by MLB.com. LSU fans got an absolute treat when, during the MLB draft, Schmidt decided to turn down pro ball, a first-round pick, millions of dollars to come play at LSU for at least the next 2 or 3 years. Not sure if he's draft eligible as a sophomore or what, but yeah, I know he'll be here in 2025. Already seen him pitching in fall ball and whatnot. That was a big deal. That's the type of guy you don't often get on campus in college baseball. NIL certainly helps with that. The fact that he grew up, as Jay Johnson sat here and said, he grew up a quarter mile from the pitcher's mound at the box and was an LSU diehard growing up wearing the purple and gold. Now he gets the chance to do that, and it's really a win-win for everybody. He's a great player. LSU fans are going to love to see him play, and he gets to fulfill his lifelong dream of being an LSU Tiger. So he was the number 4 freshman in the country per perfect games list of top freshmen in college baseball right now. Pretty much any list you look at, top freshman, he's going to be like at least in the top 5. 9-0 record, 0.44 ERA, over 100 strikeouts in 63 2/3 innings pitched as a senior at Catholic High, and he's looked good in the fall. I've seen him pitch a couple times, nothing extensive, a couple innings here, a couple innings there, strikes some guys out, gives up a single here or there, just typical stuff. It's hard to tell, how someone's going to do it in the spring, in the fall, when they're playing inter-squad scrimmages. But he's looked good, as you would expect a guy who should be playing minor league baseball right now to do. I think that he's going to factor into this pitching staff, obviously, somehow, some way. It seems like Jay Johnson, based on how he was talking about William when he was in here talking to Jacques Doucet, check that interview out if you haven't already on our YouTube page, that they're going to take it slow with him. They're not going to rush him. Yes, he's got all the hype. He's got all the skills. But college baseball and playing in the SEC especially is a learning curve. So they're going to guide him along as he's ready and throw some things at him and see how he takes it. So I would not expect him to be a starting pitcher right out of the gate. I would expect to see him out of the bullpen here and there, mid-game, maybe closing a game if it's against a team and you're blowing out, something like that. Just feeding him little bits and pieces, like an appetizer. How does he handle the appetizer? All right, now can we give him, a small meal? Now can we give him a full 5-course meal? I think that's what they're going to do with him. I think eventually, though, he will get the chance to start, and we'll see how he does there. But I would expect to certainly see him out of the bullpen, potentially working his way into the rotation should there be an injury, God forbid, or some struggles like we saw last year, LSU lacking a Sunday, day 3 starting pitcher. So keep him in mind for sure. And if he doesn't make the level of impact you hope for this year, don't forget he's got 1 or 2 more years, and he will certainly fulfill that at some point, no doubt about it. So, all right, the other names in this freshman 4, fantastic 4, if you will. Another guy, really the next 2 guys, both could be playing in a major league system right now, for a major league team in the minor league system. Derek Curiel, one of the nation's most impactful bats, someone from D1 Baseball wrote. Number 1 freshman in the rankings by perfect game for top 75 freshmen in college baseball. So he was actually rated higher than William Schmidt, who many thought would be a first-round draft pick. He would have been a first-round draft pick if he wanted to be. Curiel's another guy that turned down pro ball to come play college baseball. LSU got 3 of those guys. He's the second. And he's also seen some time. I believe he was a starting outfielder for LSU's game in Biloxi, the first one of the day against Samford. And he had a double in that game, had a couple catches out in the outfield, and showed off his speed a little bit as well, I believe, stealing bases and whatnot. So he's a guy that impacts the game in a lot of different ways, but he's really known for his bat. .314 batting average, 33 hits, 10 doubles, 21 RBI, 19 stolen bases as a senior. So I think that he could be in that outfield rotation. A lot of guys out there, obviously. Josh Pearson, Chris Stanfield, Jake Brown, Ashton Larson, obviously Derek Curiel. The list goes on and on and on. So I think that we'll see a healthy dose of guys moving around, especially in the first half of the season as Jay Johnson is trying to figure out who the guys should be in his starting rotation. I think Curiel could certainly find his way into one of those spots just based on how he's progressed already, earning the trust of Coach Johnson to be a starter for LSU's exhibition game out in Biloxi in front of 5,000 fans. I mean, that's a pretty darn big deal. And he's gotten a lot of extended run in the fall. We'll see how much more run he gets leading into the season. But I would expect him to get one of those outfield spots, if not every day, very often. Also could be a great option for a pinch hitter. You know, that was Ethan Fry's role last year when LSU needed a spark off the bench late in the game just to really get something going. They would go to Ethan Fry. Maybe they go to a Derek Curiel mid-game if somebody's struggling, you know, and then from there perhaps he earns a starting job. He's going to be involved in this offense and in the starting lineup this season at some point. Maybe it's right out of the gate. We'll find out. They're continuing to do those position battles and see who earns them. I would not be surprised if Derek Curiel earns one of those starting outfield jobs. Also a position battle a little bit behind the plate. Luis Hernandez, transfer from Indiana State. We talked about in the last edition of Game Time, talking about those impact transfers. Blaze Priester's another name that we mentioned. He's not one of those four, but he looked really good in the fall. He was on LSU's team in 2022, played 2 years of JUCO ball. Now he's back with the Tigers. He's a slugger, power hitter, also a catcher who hit some home runs this fall. But you've also got Cade Arambidi. I mean, an embarrassment of riches here. A guy that was a top 125 prospect for this year's MLB draft, and the third of the three guys, along with Schmidt and Curiel, who turned down pro ball to come play college baseball. He could have easily been selected and started his pro career, but he decided not to. Known for strong defensive play and a big arm. I have seen that, just throwing balls back to second base, trying to get guys out who were stealing. Saw a lot of that in the fall, but he's also really good on the offensive side. He batted .360 with 6 doubles in the fall per D1 baseball. Great numbers. I can back that up. I saw him hit at least a couple of doubles and had a few more potentially taken away by incredible defensive plays. Could be too good to sit, writes, I believe it was Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball, giving him some love there. Could be too good to not have him play as a freshman. So another guy that could be involved in a little bit of a rotation there, a catcher with Hernandez, with Priester, if people are struggling. And obviously it gets pretty tiring catching 60 games in a season. So there's going to be some movement there. You know, Hernandez will need the DH one day. Priester maybe will DH one day. And then Aaron Beatty will catch. You know, there's going to be some moving and shaking there. Last year, it seemed like it was Milazzo, and that was really it because Brady Neal played well at times, but he was injured for some of the season as well. So it's really not bad to have 3 good options. And Aaron Beatty, with the stuff that he's done in his prep career and already as an LSU Tiger, could certainly play his way into some serious playing time. Number 15 freshman in those perfect game, top 75 rankings, and a couple other things here. Number 1 prep catcher on MLB.com, their list of rankings. So all the rankings, he's really high up there, like all these guys. That's what makes you an impact freshman. And he was also the Texas Gatorade Player of the Year in 2024. Senior stats, .430 batting average, 12 homers, 35 RBI. So another freshman that I believe you just can't leave in the dugout. You got to get him out there. And I think that he will, just based on the nature of the catching position and the SEC and the rigors that come with that. The last of the 4 impact freshmen I got for you, Kason Evans. So this guy is not one that's garnering a lot of the headlines. I don't think he probably could have been drafted, you know, if he wanted to, in one of those mid to later rounds of the draft or something like that. But instead he's here at LSU, and this is a guy that's really, I don't know why he's not getting a lot of attention. Every time I've seen him pitch, he's looked really good. Number 9 player in Texas by perfect game. Really good fall film. Like, I don't have a lot of rankings, stats, and numbers to give you on Kason Evans, but I got first-person eyewitness testimony to share with you. When I saw him pitch at some of these inter-squad scrimmages, he was unhittable. I've got videos and videos and videos of him just running right through the 3 batters in the half inning and getting out of there with strikeouts and contact outs. When we were in Biloxi, the first game against Samford, it got a little dicey down the stretch. Obviously, that's not the complete LSU team. You know, Chase Shores pitched a couple innings, and they were rotating guys in and out, what have you. But Samford had a chance to tie or win the game in the bottom of the 9th. They had bases loaded, I believe, and Stephen Milam had a quick conversation with Kason Evans. He's got to get this out to win LSU this game. And I believe he worked up to a 3-0 count and then worked his way all the way back to strike that batter out and win the game for the Tigers as a freshman. I mean, think about the pressure. I know it was in Biloxi, but there were 5,000 fans there. You want to earn a spot. You want to prove to these coaches that you can play, you know, as a young guy. And to be in that situation against another legitimate college team, high pressure, high leverage, and to do what he did really impressed me. So I really can't speak higher praise about Kason Evans. I'm not going to sit here and rattle off a bunch of rankings and ratings when I've seen what this guy can do. So he did that. I was very impressed by it, and I think we're going to see him out of the bullpen this year. And he's got a future, I think, as a starting pitcher as well. Not this year. I think it's a little bit too much of a logjam. If he needs to, I think he could. Maybe midweek or something like that. But I think this year you'll see him as a relief pitcher, maybe even closing a game, because that's exactly what he did in the win against Samford. and it was unbelievable. So Kason Evans, another name to know. So to recap here, you already know these names, but I'm reminding you, William Schmidt, Derek Curiel, Cade Arambidi, Kason Evans, the top 4 freshmen for me that you need to know. A few other names I want to list because they were also in those top 75 ratings, and other guys that have impressed me that I've seen. Ryan Costello, the number 32 freshman. Maverick Rizzi, big guy, 6'9", 253. Should probably be playing for Brian Kelly in the football team with those raw athleticism traits. I mean, that's unbelievable. Number 36 freshman. Cooper Williams, left-handed pitcher. He's number 67 freshman. Saw him pitch a little bit. Mikey Ryan had some moments, number 69 freshman. And then one guy that, again, like Kason Evans, is not getting a lot of hype, but looked good to me, David Hogg II. He's kind of a utility guy, played some infield. I bet you he could play some outfield as well. There was a day I went to a scrimmage. It was October 27th, and I tweeted this video out. Follow me, by the way, on X, Twitter, if you want, at John Eads, WAFB. A lot of good nuggets there. I try my best. On this day, David Hogg II had a double, a home run. He stole third base, and he also had several great defensive plays. That is an instance of a freshman taking over a baseball game. And this is a guy that was on no ratings, nobody's radar, but after seeing what he did on that day in October, he's on mine. So I think David Hogg II might be a guy that on the occasional, I don't know, Tuesday, maybe even a Sunday, just goes out there and makes something that makes you, turn your head a little bit like, whoa, who's this guy? So he might have some flashes this year, and I think he's got a promising future at LSU as well. So I wanted to give him some credit, too, for what he did on that day because, this isn't easy. Coming in as a freshman for a top 5 baseball team in the SEC and to really show out and make a name for yourself. It's not easy to do. It's high pressure. Every year you're getting recruited against, right? Jay Johnson's looking to bring in your replacement or someone better than you. It's not easy to do. So to come in and already all of these guys really make a name for yourself, show you can hang with the boys that have already been through the SEC rigors once, twice, 3 times is impressive. So those are the guys I think you need to know. Season openers coming up on Valentine's Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken, February 14th. LSU, Purdue Fort Wayne at the Box. Check out all the other episodes of Game Time with John Eads if you've missed any. More baseball coverage to come in the weeks leading up to the season opener.